Hi, first graders. We're on Knowledge 3, Lesson 4, Tom Thumb. Our first vocabulary word is avoid. Say avoid. Avoid means to prevent something from happening. The next word is commotion. Say commotion. Commotion is noisy confusion and excitement. And our last word is scampered. Say scampered. Scampered means to run away quickly. And now for our story, Tom Thumb. Once there was a farmer who used to sit and poke at the fire in the evening while his wife sat at her spinning wheel. The farmer would sigh and say, "How sad it is that we have no children. Our house is so quiet, while other people's houses are so noisy and cheerful." "Yes," said the wife, "if only we had a child." A year later, the woman gave birth to a little boy. He was strong and healthy, but he was no bigger than a thumb. His parents named him Tom Thumb. As Tom grew up, he proved to be very clever and intelligent. One day when his father was going out to cut wood, he said, "I wish there was someone who could bring the cart out later." "I'll do it," said Tom. "But Tom," said his father, "how can you? You're too small to hold the reins." "Never mind," said Tom. "Have mother harness the horse. Then I'll sit in the horse's ear and tell him which way to go." And so Tom's mother harnessed the horse and put Tom in the horse's ear. Tom called out, "Giddy up!" and the horse started walking. Now it happened that as the horse and cart turned a corner, a strange man was walking by and heard Tom calling out directions to the horse. "Look," he said to himself, "there goes a wagon, and the driver is calling to the horse, but the driver is nowhere to be seen." So the man followed the horse and wagon to the place where Tom's father was chopping wood. When Tom spotted his father, he cried out, "Whoa, boy!" Then he said, "Look, father, here I am." Tom's father lifted his son down from the horse and set him on a tree stump. When the stranger saw this, he thought, "Look here, that little fellow could be useful. I should take him to town and have him do little jobs for me." He went up to Tom's father and said, "See here, old man, how about letting the little man go to town with me? I'll take good care of him and even give you the money for your trouble." "No," Tom's father said. "He is the apple of my eye, and I would be too sad to see him go." Tom crept up to his father's shoulder and whispered, "Go ahead, father, let me go, and I'll be back in no time." "But Tom," his father began. "Trust me," Tom broke in, "I'll take care of everything." So Tom's father let him go with the man. Off went Tom, riding on the brim of the man's hat. That night, after traveling for several hours, the man came to a barn that was located next to a quiet house. He decided that the barn would be a good place to sleep and rest up for travels the next day. When he was all settled in for the night, the man took off his hat. At that moment, Tom scampered away and slipped into a mouse hole, crying out, "So long, my good fellow, have a good trip without me." The man got down on his hands and knees and poked sticks into the holes, but he could not find Tom. Eventually, he gave up. When the man left, Tom came out of his hole. He found an empty snail shell and said, "This looks like a safe place to spend the night." But just as he lay down, he heard voices of two robbers whispering. "Yes," said one of the robbers, "this is the house. The mayor won't be back until tomorrow, so now is the time to rob it." "But how can we do it? Although the mayor is away, the cook and maid are still there, so we will have to be quiet and try to avoid waking them." Tom knew he had to do something to stop the robbers, so he sprang out of his shell and shouted, "I have an idea!" "Who was that?" asked one of the frightened robbers. "Take me with you, and I'll help you," said Tom. "Who's talking? Where are you?" asked the robbers. "Down here," cried Tom. The robbers looked down, and there they saw Tom waving to them. One robber lifted up his head and said, "What's that, little one? How are you going to help us rob the mayor?" "It will be easy," said Tom. "The mayor keeps his money behind iron barns, right? I can slip between the barns and hand the money to you." "Hee hee, that's a fine idea, little one," said the robbers, and they snickered all the way to the mayor's house. Then they fell quiet and whispered to Tom, "Speak softly, you hear? We don't want to get caught." "Of course," said Tom. He sneaked into the mayor's house and slipped between the bars where the money was kept. Then he called out to the robbers in his loudest voice, How much do you want? Do you want it all? Shh, hissed the robbers. Be quiet. You'll wake the cook and the maid. We can hear you just fine. Just start handing us the money. But Tom pretended not to hear them, and once again he shouted, What's that you say? You want to take all the money? I'll give you everything. Just hold out your hands. All the commotion woke the cook and the maid, and they came running to see what all the noise was about. When they burst in, the robbers ran away. Tom slipped away to the barn. All the excitement had made him sleepy, so he went to sleep on a big pile of hay. The next morning the maid came in the barn and pitched a large bundle of hay, with Tom still sleeping in it. The cow ate up the hay, and poor Tom slid down into the cow's stomach. Goodness me, Tom said sleepily. Somebody forgot to put the windows in this house. Suddenly, splish! Something wet and heavy fell on Tom's head. It was a mouthful of hay. The cows were eating again, and more wet, sticky hay fell on Tom. He called out, That's enough! No more hay! I'm quite full, thank you! The milkmaid was milking the cow, and when she heard the voice come out of the cow, she fell off her milking stool. When the milkmaid fell off the milking stool, she startled the cow, who then sneezed a big sneeze. Achoo! The sneeze caused Tom to come flying out. Yuck! Tom landed onto a garbage heap where the milkmaid's family had thrown the remains of their dinner. Tom struggled to get up, surrounded by pieces of meat and vegetables. He had just managed to start to stand when, zing, a hungry wolf snapped up the piece of meat Tom was caught on and ran off with it. As the wolf ran, Tom bounced along and thought, well, this is an odd place to be. Then he said to the wolf, Mr. Wolf, wouldn't you rather eat some delicious treats instead of this old piece of meat? I can show you where to find such treats. And where might that be? Growled the wolf. In a house I know, said Tom. It's full of lots of delicious fresh food. Tom led the wolf back to his mother and father's house. When they got there, the wolf ate until he was stuffed. Then Tom called out, Help, help! There's a wolf in the house! Tom's father came running with a big stick. He chased the wolf with the stick and sent him howling into the woods. Good work, father, said Tom. His father looked down and cried out, Tom, where have you been? We've been so worried about you. Well, father, said Tom, I've been in too many places to count, and I think that from now on I would rather just stay with you. Oh, my dear boy, said his father, I never should have let you go, and I never will again. The end. You may go ahead and click on the Google Forms to answer the questions about Tom Thumb.